Introduction to JSX. Welcome everyone. We're going to look into JSX, which is a fundamental part of React development. Historically, web development involved separating content, design, and logic into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript respectively, and each of them had its own place, often in separate files. But as web applications became more dynamic, the line between logic and content began to blur. So JavaScript started to take a more central role, dynamically generating and manipulating HTML on the fly. So this shift paved the way for JSX in React, where we now combine markup and logic within components for a more integrated development experience. So we are going to explore how JSX transforms the way we build interactive UIs in React. But let me first show you the existing HTML, CSS, JavaScript example. So consider this first part with div is an index.html, and there you will have a style for a specific ID app. We're gonna set background color to be this hex value, and it in app.js we could use a DOM API to get this div element by ID. So ID being app, and we can change the inner HTML to be a hello world. Why JSX? So let's talk about why JSX is really important and it's a game changer. So in traditional web development, keeping HTML and JavaScript separate made sense if you're building a simple static sites. However, as user interfaces became more complex and interactive, this separation made less sense and it made things more complex. So what React did was React introduced JSX to address this challenge, and it allowed developers to write HTML structures directly within JavaScript code. So this co-location of HTML and JavaScript not only makes components more cohesive, but also simplifies the development process. So by embedding markup within JavaScript, React components become self-contained units of logic and presentation, therefore streamlining the development of interactive UIs. So as you can see, this is a simple welcome message component in JavaScript function. We can write HTML like syntax. So React components and JSX. So we said the core thing in React are components, and JSX is the syntax that brings these components to life. So you can think of a React component as a function that returns UI elements, and JSX allows us to express these elements in a way that's uh, very similar to HTML, but you would have the power of JavaScript. This is really important to understand that JSX is not a template language. Some of you might be familiar with HTML template language. This is a syntax extension for JavaScript. So it enables React elements to be defined within JavaScript. So, and this integration facilitates a more intuitive and efficient approach to UI development, where visual elements and their associated logic can be managed together in tandem. JSX versus HTML. Although JSX closely resembles HTML, there are some differences that you need to be aware of. First, JSX enforces a stricter syntax. So to give you an example, every JSX expression must have a single enclosing tag. So this way it ensures a clear and consistent structure. And this requirement can be met using React fragments. It's represented by like an empty bracket to group multiple elements without adding extra nodes to the DOM. And additionally, JSX tags must be properly closed, including self-closing tags like image tag. Another notable difference is the naming convention for attributes. JSX uses camel case, and attributes such as class in HTML become class name in JSX. By doing this, by having these rules, it enhances the readability and maintainability in React development. And just to give you the example that I talked about, as you can see, we have this React component called user card, and in the div component, we are using class name instead of class. And we can see that image needs to have a self-enclosing tag. And we can see that there is a div, only one div and a parent. Practical example, converting HTML to JSX. So let's walk through a practical example. Say you have an HTML snippet and you want to integrate into a React component. Copying and pasting it directly into a JSX return statement won't always work due to JSX's stricter rule. For example, adjacent elements has to be wrapped in a fragment, and attributes like class need to be converted to class name. So through seeing this example, we can see how JSX requirements such as wrapping adjacent elements and properly closing tags help us to write more structured and error-resistant code. So let's look at this. So we have this HTML snippet. The parent is included in div, and we have h1, it says user profile, and we have image tag with specified source and class saying profile. So if we were to convert this, we would want to first import React from React library and declare user profile component. And we want to add export default user profile, but you see that we're using fragment here instead of div. So this, because we have two tags, we would need to have fragment in order to meet JSX's stricter goal. And we can also see that in this HTML example, it has class here, but here you will see class name in a camel case. Tools and best practices. While I think writing JSX manually is really important for learning, if you already have a really big HTML file, if you tools like JSX converters can really help with the process. However, understanding the underlying principles is crucial for effective troubleshooting and optimization. So best practices in JSX include using descriptive component names and keeping components small and focused and leveraging fragments to avoid any unnecessary DOM elements such as div. Uh, Also, don't forget to remember React's provide helpful error messages to guide you, and these React messages, the error messages, as you work on React project, they would provide clear indications of syntax issues and offer suggestions for corrections, unlike HTML, and they significantly help in the development process. Recap and conclusion. So in conclusion, JSX is a powerful syntax extension that allows us to write HTML-like code within JavaScript, offering a seamless integration of markup and logic in React components. So by understanding and applying JSX, you can create more maintainable, readable, and cohesive components. So I encourage everyone to uh, embrace the learning curve. And if you already have a big HTML project, feel free to try utilizing tools like JSX converters, and always refer to React's error message, and this ability to understand the JSX and write JSX is a key skill in React development, and you'll soon be able to build dynamic and interactive web application more efficiently. Thank you for joining this session. I encourage you to continue exploring and practicing JSX in your React project.